And I just want to bring you back really quick on something you said about drug dealing during your height of you know, drug dealing and all of the activities you were taking part in. Would Do you know how much money you were making, how much you were bringing in? What was at
Yeah,
the
everybody
prime?
always asks that prime question. Listen, we made so much money, who knows? But I gave figures, and somebody just asked me again, is it a million? And was that gross? Was that net? I go, listen, one of the smallest drug deals I had working for me, and he said it in his own words on a show. He did GQ with me, Stevie Newell. We were friends, we were enemies, and we're friends again. And I like him a lot. And he was talking about how he watched captains and different guys answering to me, and I later on shot him, and he went against me during the court, trials, and then he's back for me. But one thing we did talk about is the money he made. He was making 15, 20,000 cash back in the 80s. His end of it, which was nothing. And he said I was one of the smallest guys. So he says I think John's not telling the truth, that they made a lot more than $1 million a month. And I mean, it could have been as much as, honestly, 3 or 5 million. I don't know. We spent money like water, and there was tons of guys around me. I had my own guys. I had a good 20, 25 guys. I had 15 real close to me, and they're sending out packages for me, a couple of keys, depending on the guy. One guy 5 keys, another guy 3. Then they got an army of guys around them. They got guys under them. So really, I mean, there's hundreds of guys that are answering to me. And then I'm answering to, obviously the hierarchy of the Gambino family. So, you're talking about tons of guys out there. What do we really make? And who knows? I mean, that number is just astronomical. And the way we lived was just spending money like it was water, champagne every day, Cristal. We're in a club 5 days a week. And we're gambling like crazy. We're traveling like crazy. We're buying cars like crazy, homes. So very hard to pinpoint the exact dollar. But when I say $1 million, I think it's very, very conservative.
And and you also, so you talk about gambling. I mean, I think there was one thing that I heard you talk about with you're involved with like Mets players and stuff like that. I mean, what's that like during the 80s when, I mean, I know you're involved with sports books and stuff like that. We talk about all of those different kinds of activities and what you're partaking in yourself. Are you betting on sports? Is there also, I mean, I know there's a lot of other guys who, there's a lot of sports match fixing, all that kind of stuff that's going on during the time.
Well, you got to remember, we're all in the 80s. We're all young. Bobby Ches is one of my best friends. He visited me in old prison. I mean, he was a 3-time champ boxer. And, you got guys like him that are staying with me. You got Joe Klecko from the New York Jets at the time, Gastineau Jets. You got the New York Mets all staying. We're all staying at Channel 80. We're pulling up with boats, cigarette boats. We're all making money. They're young kids. We're young. And we're all having a good time. We're drinking champagne, dancing, doing drugs. And, I grew up in a gambling family. My uncle was Blackie's partner in a 3-card Monte game in the Bronx, making millions. He used to joke about he was making more money than Reggie Jackson back then. So you understand the quality of money we're making, the type of money. And my whole family's bookmakers, gamblers, but I wasn't a gambler. I was a bookmaker.